Hello there. Welcome to this episode of Force Ghost Conversations. This is your host, Anthony King, and this week I'm joined by Silver, aka Star Wars Thrifting, to discuss part 2 from Andor Season 2. If you're a fan of the podcast and would like to consider pledging your support, there will be a link in the episode description for you to check out the various tiers offered. Also, please be sure to check out our TeePublic store to buy some Force Ghost Conversations merchandise. And without further ado, it is time to gather around the campfire for some Force Ghost Conversations. All right, folks, welcome back to another installment of Force Ghost Conversations, part 2 of Andor. Our big discussion will be just around the corner. And of course, we've got the wonderful Silver, aka Star Wars Thrifting from all over the social platforms, is back to chat about these really climactic and impactful episodes in this middle chunk of Andor now. So BBY, three years before the Battle of Yavin, and really excited to for you all to hear this great conversation that we put together for you all here. So thank you for participating in the listening of this episode. But before we get into that, just a little bit quick news in the Star Wars and Lucasfilm adjacent galaxy. And of course, Andor is now premiering, and we're halfway through it after this point. Holy cow! We've only got 2 more weeks to go, and wow, it's been a ride. Let's just say to call it a spade. It's been a wonderful, crazy, and just an enjoyable experience to have Andor every Tuesday night for us here. So that is that big one. But at the time of the recording here, so well, when this is released, I should say first and foremost, it'll be May 4th. It is a kind of dubbed Star Wars Day to some. And with that comes the release of Tales of the Underworld. So we'll get more stories about Asajj Ventress and Cad Bane in that story. And that will officially premiere on Disney Plus on May 4th. But if you are on Fortnite, I suppose, so Friday, May 2nd, you would have had the chance to, I think, watch the first 2 episodes of Tales of the Underworld in Fortnite. I'm not sure entirely how that works at all, but I know that this is something that is a Disney and priority to like enhance their partnership with Fortnite. So if you get the chance, maybe you've already seen the first couple of episodes already through that, and if not, then May 4 Disney Plus is the place to be for that. But additionally, with it being May 4th, there's a ton of new, not necessarily news, but new merchandise and deals available on a bunch of different sites and platforms across the internet and in person. So go to starwars.com and you can find out the all the deals and the links for things that are available over the next couple of days here. So go check that out. Make sure you grab some Star Wars swag for the Star Wars fan, either yourself or for the people in your life that are fans of the galaxy far away. And with that, folks, that is all the news that I had compiled. Oh, sorry, one more news item here, just because it's a recurring news bit here. The score for Andor Season 2, Volume 2 is now out. So episodes 4 through 6 by Brandon Roberts is now available on, oh, it looks like some Nicholas Bertel too, is at least quoted in Spotify. So that's now available on digital platforms. So if you are an Apple Music or Spotify or something else, probably the music is now available for you for Andor Season 2, Part 2, which is, of course, the conversation of discussion for today's episode. And we'll be back on the other side of the short break with that discussion here. But before, one more thing before we get out there, just make sure if you want to follow or continue the conversation with us, of course, you can follow us on all the social media platforms personally, Force Ghost Conversations. So we're on X, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, Threads, Blue Sky. I think I've named them all right now. Just search for Force Ghost Conversations and we'll be there in some capacity. So let's get to our main topic discussion with Silver. So on the other side of the short break, we will have our part 2 of Andor Season 2 discussion. Stay tuned. Folks, somehow Andor returned with part two. It is a wonderful, wonderful show that somehow is pulling the punches every week, or not pulling their punches. They are just going with it, going full steam ahead into the events of Rogue One, a Star Wars story. And we're here to break down part two, episodes 4, 5, and 6 of Andor season 2. And we have a returning guest for this one. You may know her from the internet as Star Wars Thrifting, but around here we call her Silver. Silver, welcome back to Force Ghost Conversations, and how are you doing?
Hi, thanks for having me. I'm doing well. I'm happy to be back. Thanks for inviting me back on. Can't wait to talk about Andor. I know we were just talking a little bit off air. Um, but I'm just kind of recovering from Japan a little bit. Um, it's a lot. We have May the 4th a couple days
Yes.
away. Revenge of the Sith is playing in theaters. Just the overall excitement. There's amazing Star Wars, 3 episodes. Seems insane. Yeah, I'm just living my best nerd life, I think, right now.
Yeah, it's like all at once. Andor season is happening. You said Revenge of the Sith.
Yeah.
Tales of the Underworld is coming out.
Yeah.
Light and Magic just
Yeah.
come out, slipped under the radar.
Yeah. Yeah. I know.
uh,
Yeah. I missed I did I just I let you know off air. I just watched Andor right before we hopped on because I was busy watching Revenge of the Sith for like my third showing this week. And it's
as you
like
should.
what is what is my life? It's great. It's wonderful. Like what
You're
a
living it up like it's
yeah.
2005 again. Get
It's
the All American Rejects on the radio and drive
yes.
down to the cinema.
It's the best.
Well, I love it. I had my screening on this past Monday for Revenge of the Sith too, and boy, what a treat it is to see that thing back on the big screen again.
Mhm.
Sign me
I
up. Sign me
agree.
up. More prequel
Yeah.
films back on the cinema. Get
Please.
get Attack of the Clones back. Lucasfilm, you're
Oh my
listening.
gosh.
Come on, I need to hear Across the Stars in that booming sound system of the 40x sequence. Come on.
Honestly, would be my dream if we could ever see Attack of the Clones back in theaters.
One
I
day.
almost wanna buy a theater just to do it.
Oh, ooh,
So,
you're onto something
everyone
here.
yeah, I'm taking, yeah, so if anybody wants to make donations, send it my way.
People are saying 2027 is the 50th anniversary of Star Wars, but that will also be the 25th anniversary
Mhm.
of
Of
Star
Attack
Wars
of the
Episode
Clones.
2.
Yeah.
So we've got space for a lot of celebration there at Star Wars
I think
Celebration
so.
2027. So get Attack of the Clones back in the theaters, Lucasfilm. You've heard it
Yes.
here.
Yes. The people want it.
The people are yearning for this. You must appease them. But speaking of appeasement and fascists and all that stuff, we're here to talk about Andor. Smooth
Sweet.
transition right there.
I love
uh,
it.
we are back in the Andor era, Silver. We had the first 3 episodes last week. Now we're here with part 2, 4, 5, and 6. In a sentence or two, what are your initial reactions to this season so far?
So far, it's exactly what I think Tony Gilroy has promised.
Yeah.
And it feels confident. It knows what it's trying to say. And I feel it. I felt it in the first episode.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, I just want to say confident. That's just probably the thing that always that's just been popping in my head. It's really sure of itself.
Yeah.
And it knows its destination and where it's going. And that's just really exciting. I'm just really here for the ride, honestly. I think that
I
was
think we all are here for this.
more I was more than a few sentences, but yeah. It
We're
feels
all
very
here
sure
for this.
yeah, it feels very sure of itself and very confident, and it knows exactly what, um, what it is, and it's like, if you enjoyed last season, you're really in for a ride for this one.
100% agree. I mean, this has been already an emotional roller coaster of sorts.
Mhm.
And to basically get a new movie for the next 2 weeks after this week on uh, Tuesday nights. Now, I gotta tell you, Silver, I know you watched these episodes before you hopped on here. So this is an outlier week, I'll say. Next week, you'll probably 6 p.m.
Yeah,
But you're
6
you're
PM.
West Coast, so it's best coast in this case because I'm a little jealous. I'm tired over here. I'm a tired East Coaster. These 9 p.m. 3 episode blasts are
Yeah.
making me go to bed at midnight. on these
Y
Tuesdays here. It
yeah.
must be so nice to have that stellar 8:30, 9 o'clock. Oh, I can do something else with the rest of my night for a little bit and wind down before bed with some of these heavy hitting episodes.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. It's a little it's great. It's nice. You can kind of like let's plan dinner and while we watch Andor. But yeah,
Yeah.
I've been loving these 6 I've been loving these 6 p.m. Release dates ever since I think they started with Ahsoka if I'm not mistaken, but it was just
Yep.
really fun. Like for well, again, yeah, we're a little spoiled here and I'm not gonna, I'm not gonna lie, but yeah, it's been nice. But yeah, I mean, especially when they're dropping 3 episodes of Andor, I mean, heavy, big, long episodes.
Yes.
You need time to process. Like, I can only imagine your situation. Like, your brain must be just like a thousand miles an hour afterwards trying to unwind. Like, how can anyone unwind? Really?
Silver,
So I have
last
time
week,
to
like,
unwind. Yeah.
my boy Brasso dies, and I'm like, I gotta go to
Yeah.
bed.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
I gotta
Yeah.
have
How can
I
we
gotta
sleep?
mourn this guy.
Yeah.
I can't just go to bed right now.
Yeah.
This is
No, for sure.
impossible. And then
Yeah.
my dog's like, "Hey, you gotta take me out."
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
then I gotta take her on a walk. I'm like, it's midnight. I gotta go to sleep.
Yeah, I can't. Yeah, when you take your dog out, you just, that's the time to mourn Brasso.
It's the quiet contemplation of the
Yeah,
post
like, "Ugh,
Andor, the
what did
walk to
I
get
just
my feelings
watch?"
out. Exactly. Oh man, yeah, it's I'm totally jealous, and like I wish I wish I could have dinner with Andor. Like dinner and Andor sounds like a very nice Tuesday night.
Yeah, yeah, and
Um,
then you're watching it, and it stresses you out as the episode goes on, and then
totally.
you
So you got
completely for
stress eat as you're doing it.
yeah, you're stress eating or you're completely forgot about dinner, you just don't even wanna eat anymore, like, it's interesting, but yes,
No,
I
sign me
will
up. Give
say
me
it
a
is
round
it
table
yeah,
pizza, and we'll have a good
yeah.
time.
It is much better than, when they were doing midnight, and I can only imagine for you guys, it was like
It
I
was
don't know if
still
you
even
were
better for West Coast over there. Like, I
yeah, I know,
mean,
midnight as opposed to 3 a.m., yeah.
my gosh, those 3 a.m.s were horrible.
Yeah.
Now, of
Yeah.
course, we say that, and our friends over in the UK and such are like, "Oh, don't complain now, guys. You
Yeah, right.
you think not now? It's our 3 a.m. It's no
Yeah,
longer 9 p.m. for you guys.
yeah.
So just it's just fun. It's all good. This'll it's only funny because this is like the one instance where this matters, where they're dropping three at a time. I don't think they'll probably do this again for any other type of Star Wars
Yeah.
content thing, but um, this is a very funny period of the Star Wars, like everything happening at once, all at the same time. Celebration was at odd hours on the East Coast here for us too. We were talking about, so just adding to the time zone fun of this all. Um, but getting into Andor, so folks, full spoiler warning for Andor episodes 4, 5, and 6, part 2, BBY 3. If you haven't seen the episodes yet, make sure you pause this podcast now and go watch them, and then come right back to this moment in time because you've been forewarned from here on out. Because we're about
Mhm.
to spoil some big parts of this with my next question here. I also do want to preface that Silver and I have only seen these episodes one time through in prep for this,
Yeah.
so forgive us for any lapses in decorum if we forget a character's name or a specific plot instance or how a phrase was specifically said within the context of the show. We're doing our best. So thank you for your patience on that one as well as we dive into these episodes and try to process them a bit more from our first initial watches. And then who knows what second and third times we go through these, how our opinions and insights change. But Silver, we got a heavy hitter to start here with this. I want to address the kind of elephant in the room, perhaps, with these episodes here. What did you think of the recast cameo? Of course, folks, we're talking about Bail Organa is now recasted, at least in Andor season 2, by actor Benjamin Bratt instead of it being Jimmy Smits. So Silver, what do you think about this recast? Is this instance a shock now that will subside with time? What do you think about it? How'd you feel about it?
You know what? I heard there was like rumors going around on Twitter saying that that was a possibility of happening. And lucky for me, I love Benjamin Bratt.
Yeah.
I've always wanted to see him in Star Wars. although wanted to see him as his own, a probably a
Yeah.
different character, um, but I it did startle me. I mean, it took me out a bit, and I
Okay.
think I wrestled with it. However, I understand that things go behind the scenes where there's production conflict, and, things can happen, how we would like.
Yeah.
Um, However, I'm glad that we brought in, a real life actor, to come
Just
and
true.
portray, Bail
You didn't
Organa.
want to
You
deep
can't
fake Jimmy Smits?
no, 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 and we got Benjamin Bratt, who I think is a fantastic actor, who I think does bring that Bail Organa swagger, and it's all in its own anyway.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, it did take me out a little bit. It was just like it was like in the beginning,
Mhm.
but the thing is, but then, the Star Wars nerd in me was just saying, "But Bale is so important to the story. You gotta have
Yeah.
him. You gotta
Yeah.
have him." And I'm guessing that it was just like a quick and I think Tony Gilroy actually there was an interview that came out that said, "Hey, we just gotta kinda like rip the Band-Aid right now.
Yeah.
Get you guys to like maybe just deal with it for a week." Because he's probably gonna be really I'm sure he'll be more important as the rest of the season continues. Um, yeah, I mean, it is what it is. And I think I'll I'll just be okay with it.
Yeah, yeah, I think this is one where I'm,
Eventually.
like,
Yeah.
self-counseling myself here. I'm torn in both
I
directions. I hear what you're
Same
saying
here. Yeah.
about the, like, yeah, there's the business side to it, and there is the, uh, you know, uh, aspect of it, though, where it's like, Bail Organa is important to the rebellion, and we need this character ostensibly,
Mhm.
there's a good reason for including him in this series, right? They're just not throwing this legacy character into the show without it being backed with reason, right? I trust
Mhm.
the creators, I trust Gilroy, I trust the writers that they just didn't throw in a cameo for fun, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
Otherwise,
Agree.
I think you're right. They would have just made Benjamin Bratt a new character in the rebellion, right? A la Luthen Rael, right? Just a new guy they
Mhm.
create out of nothing, and then say, yeah, he's important to the rebellion, and he's really here in the formative times, and now we get this new character that gets to do something here. So I have to ultimately trust that there was a reason it just didn't work out behind the scenes scheduling wise, and now in future episodes, like you said, they ripped the band-aid off. We'll talk about it this week, and then next week hopefully we just accept it a little bit more. We go through the whole 6 stages of grief
Yeah.
this week,
Mhm.
and then next week we're ready to rock and roll with a whole new thing. The
Yeah.
other side of it though is the prequel kid in me, especially seeing
Mhm.
Revenge of the Sith on the big screen this week, that,
Yeah.
I was bullied so often by older people back in that time frame for liking those films. And there was a part of me that when I saw Jimmy Smits return as Bail Organa in both first Rogue One and then
Mhm.
in Obi-Wan Kenobi, to be like, yes, these stories are just like they're justified in some way. Like you can't ignore them. There
Mhm.
was
Mhm.
a part of me that took victory in seeing these characters return
Yeah.
because at least in turning in Lucasfilm that showcased that like yeah you know we care about the continuity of the actors, and if they still are around and willing to do it, we'll do it with them, right? Genevieve
Mhm.
O'Reilly was the greatest example of that, in my opinion, being a deleted scene Mon Mothma from
Yeah.
Revenge of the Sith. And then they were like, hey, let's use her again because of that continuity there. So that was something that I really prided myself for thinking like that was such a cool thing, and I'm glad they did that, and I felt vindicated in a sense of this victory almost over those
Mhm.
bullies back in the day that were like, you don't need to watch those movies, just watch the original trilogy and you'll call it a day. And I'm like, no, you don't understand. It's a through line 1 through 6, the rise, the fall of Vader, and the redemption. Like it's all there. It's the
Mhm.
story of Anakin Skywalker, and then more comes the legacy too with episode 7, 8, and 9. So right now I'm in this middle period where I'm like just like wow, that happened, and I'm just living in the like, okay, I have to learn to
Yeah.
process my feelings here and accept it.
Yeah. I'm trying to like just be a big a big girl about it, but,
Yeah.
I'm so I am bummed because I love Jimmy Smits's, Bail, and,
Yeah, me too.
yeah, it just really just took me out, for a second,
Oh my
so,
gosh, me too. I was like,
yeah, I
"What?
was just like,
You
"What?"
kidding me? That's
Yeah.
Benjamin Bratt. That's not Jimmy Smits."
Yeah, so, yeah, I think I did I again, there was that rumor going around Twitter, so I was like, "Oh, man. Okay, well, let me just be prepared." And still, even though, like, I was prepared for it, it still was so
It's still, yeah,
shocking.
it
It,
stung
like,
pretty
it
hard.
just yeah, it's a pretty big one, but, we'll see. We'll see how
You
I
know, it's
feel at the end of the
interesting because,
week.
like, that rumor was circulating, especially at Celebration. Tony was saying something like, "Hey, buckle up. It's gonna
Yeah.
happen." And I don't know why, like, I thought it could be Bail Organa, but I
Mhm.
was like, probably not because, Jimmy Smits is still around and alive,
Yeah.
and he's acting, and he was just in
Yeah, he was
Kenobi,
just
so I was like,
mhm.
I put my money on Tarkin.
Yeah.
Just because, like, they probably didn't wanna deal with the whole deep fake and
Mhm.
de-aging and all that stuff controversy again.
Mhm.
Um, but, no, Jimmy Smits, at least right now, maybe a Tarkin does appear later on, and we'll figure
Mhm.
that out, but yeah, Benjamin Bratt for at least the next couple of weeks here is Bail Organa, and, uh, welcome to the Star Wars community, I guess.
Welcome, yeah.
He'll be a
Not how I would have, yeah, personally wanted, but, yeah, I mean, we'll see.
I agree with what you're
The
saying though. Like, it did take for me personally too. I was sitting there for like a good 5 to 10 minutes, being like, "That's not Bail Organa. Who's that?
Mhm.
That's not that can't be
Yeah.
him."
And him and, Jenna and Jimmy and Genevieve O'Reilly really have, like, that really, already established, like, relationship on screen.
Yeah.
Stemming from even like Revenge of the Sith, the deleted scenes, how they were in scenes together,
Hmm.
even like, and then Rogue One, like, they have that. So you kind of, when they interact, it's exciting as a fan to see Mon Mothma and Bale interact. And it's just like, it just really does kind of startle you a bit.
Yeah.
But
The whole "I would trust her with my life" kind
yeah,
of
it's
thing.
my
Oh,
favorite.
so
Hmm.
good. I teared up when I saw Jimmy Smith's return in that triumphant scene in Rogue One. Like,
Hmm.
that was a big moment back
Yeah.
then. So, just this is one of those things that it's just gonna have to process it. I'm okay with, like, ultimately I'm okay with it. Like, I'm not gonna
Yeah.
say Andor is the worst thing ever. Oh my gosh,
No,
there's
yeah.
screws in Star Wars.
Yeah.
How can that
I
be a
just
thing?
I just imagine, like, Benjamin Bratt's point of view, like, "Oh,
I'm just like,
yes,
that poor guy. He has to
I'm
deal
in
with it.
Star
Yeah.
Wars," and then he has to deal with, like, at least, you and I, we're the type of fans who are gonna be like, "Oh, yeah, but we'll welcome still," but, there's a whole other side that's kinda like yeah, so I'm hoping he's living in a, nice little bubble and just enjoying the fact
Yes,
that he is in
yes.
Star Wars.
Listen to this podcast, Benjamin Bratt. We
Yes.
welcome you
We
with
welcome
open
you.
arms.
Mhm. Absolutely.
So these episodes center around Gorman.
Mhm.
So what do you make of the portrayal of and culture of this kind of new planet in Star Wars canon? And I say that canon, no, not the Legends version that people most likely have heard this before. And so we learned last week that the planet is necessary for the Empire as well, but Luthen seems rather keen on the planet as well. So in addition to your thoughts on just the overall portrayal of the planet, what do you think about, like, how can Gorman help serve the goals of the rebellion, at least from Luthen's perspective?
Well, I love the way we spend so much time on Gorman,
A lot,
and,
yeah.
like, even just as I was sitting there, even, like, looking at scenes from, like, Gorman Square, like, first of all,
Hmm.
Andor's just that type of show where you're just like, "Wow," like, I get it, like, we have great shows, the volume's been getting, has been better, but you just really feel like, man, these big elaborate sets, it feels
Oh,
really, like, lived
absolutely.
in, and, um, I mean, just the obvious, like, visually what you're seeing on screen, just how beautiful and gorgeous it is, but, just interacting with the people and just, like, how I mean, we saw, like, the last week, that whole that trailer reel of the Gorman, it was I mean, I saw it we saw the first episode at Celebration, and it just really took me out. I think I was, like, cracking up, and I thought it was the funniest thing. But, yeah, I mean, it's giving off, like, I just thought it's like the France of Star Wars.
We'll take it. Yeah.
Yeah. But, yeah, no, it's really, I don't know, it's really, I feel, because when I think of, I don't know, I just it's like, this is, just the way society is. It's very, it's, you can just tell they're, like, they're a little bit well off. They're,
Hmm.
it feels like really, yeah, I mean, a place that's thriving,
Hmm.
and you really get that sense, and it really showed on screen.
Yeah.
Um, so I thought they did a really good job. And as far as, like, I think what Luthen really wants is, I mean, he really kind of said it, like, you know, they're obviously way in over their head if they think that
Hmm.
there can even start a rebellion. And if the Empire really does, like, kind of like, try and make an example out of them, yeah, I mean, that's gonna be a bummer, but it's gonna get everyone's attention.
Yeah.
So yeah, I thought it was a really good portrayal of just even, like, an early, like, resistance. They
Hmm.
still don't have their act together at all.
No.
So, but yeah, I thought I loved spending the time, in Gorman.
Yeah, like Leia says, like the more you tighten your grip, right, and the more star systems that like fall through your hand, right, that kind of thing. And it's kind of like this is like without saying it, right, like the crushing of Gorman allows other systems to like join the rebellion. Like it's kind of what Leia says to some degree without actually like what while actually being the real cause and effect of like wow there are people's lives lost when the
Yeah.
empire squeezes their hand, right, there are people that are suffering as a result of their cruelty and malice, and because of that then the story spreads and that because they become martyred in
Mhm.
the journey. So the Empire takes what they will from them, but at the same time, more star systems are like, "Hey, I don't like that. We could be easily just as prey to the the needs of the Empire, and then we have to band up together." And this could be the catalyst moment that then leads to all the the mass amounts of people that start joining the rebellion openly, and that we see later in Rogue One and then the original trilogy. Um, I'm a big fan. Like my wife and I really had a good kick about just watching how very much France this was in
Yeah.
Star Wars.
Yeah.
Cafe culture was a big
Cafe
thing.
culture, also, like, fashion, like, the
Yes, the
capital of
fashion
fashion.
district, basically.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Um, yeah, so I thought it was really interesting because I feel like I mean, I could be wrong, but, when you think about the Empire and, like, just it's always like planets that probably don't have, the means to stand up and defend
Hmm.
themselves. And this seems like a place you know, that's like I said, really well off, and
Hmm.
which I think can obviously is a threat to the Empire, but to kind of see them, that's kind of like their target is really something I feel like we've never really seen. I mean, I
Yeah.
could be wrong, but yeah, and, just kinda shows that, it doesn't matter, so
Right, right. No, I agree. I agree totally here, and I liked they made the allegory last week in that set of episodes. You talked about the sequence where they were showing the like informational video about Gorman, and uh, that sequence was inspired by the Wannsee Conference from 1942, where the Germans basically the bureaucracy of the German high command figured out the logistics of the final solution for the Holocaust, and then have this France like country planet, and to have literally the French resistance
Mhm.
portrayed in this to some degree,
Yes.
working underground, wiretapping things, trying to figure out who are the people that we can. who's kind of a sympathizer within the empire that we can utilize, right? They have the seeds of this, like you were saying, of potentially becoming something, but there's just they're too far gone. Like they're already almost halfway done building that thing that they said be done in 6 weeks once they
Yeah, I
started,
know.
and once that's done, then they take them out. Like they already know what's going to happen here. There's
Mhm.
you know Deidre's just pulling the all the puppet strings here to make this look like an incident that needed to be taken out, right?
Yeah.
She's allowing the resistance, this French rebellion group, kind of in this Ghorman, to have a victory or two here or there, and to grow their numbers and to feel like they have some sense of momentum, only to then say like, "Oh my gosh, look at that rebellion cell! We have to crush it." Boop, 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 boop,
Mhm.
boop. Gorman's gone. We can now mine the planet for what we need it for.
Yeah. Yeah.
um, I thought it was just neat to pull these real world instances into this, and it only makes the show even more terrifying because science fiction as allegory is definitely the case here.
Yeah.
So as we continue with these next, well, we're already halfway done with this. We got 6 more episodes to go, and we're like Denise Goff was saying at Celebration. I'm gonna be full fascist in this season, and oh my gosh, she's gonna go there. Like we can
Yeah.
already see where this is heading towards, and it's
Oh,
gonna be
yeah.
terrifying.
Yeah. No, for sure. And I think they really did a great job establishing Gorman as like a character in its own, kind of like what they did
Yeah,
last season with Ferrex.
ultimately, yeah.
So, yeah. But yeah, and also I get a really strong sense of like community. I felt while watching the people of
Hmm.
Gorman, um, with their unique culture and
Yeah,
how their economy is being ran, and yeah, yeah, it's gonna be really exciting to I mean, it's not gonna be really exciting. I take that back.
it's
I'm
not gonna be
sorry.
great.
It's not gonna be great. It's gonna be I'm totally with Cassian on this one.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, it's just gonna be really again, I feel like where we're heading is gonna be really, really tragic.
yeah.
And for them
Cassian
having to
is like,
go
cut your
having to go through that
losses.
again. Yeah, I know.
Oh my gosh, yeah, though it's the second time. Like I love that conversation that he had
Oh,
with
with the
the
bellhop?
bellhop. Yeah.
Yeah, it
Also
was
a hotel
great.
in Star Wars, a really nice hotel.
Love it. Yeah.
With that monument. Like that was an interesting thing that the first off the Empire would let them have some sort of monument. Like I can't
Mhm.
imagine that they did that. Like that seems
Yeah.
out of character for the Empire to be like, yeah, memorialize something, a massacre of people that happened here as we literally landed a ship on top of people.
Yeah.
um, and to then have like this agreement decree where they can't build a, a building in
Mhm.
anywhere in the near facility that could cast a shadow on it.
Mhm.
Um, and for that to be like the catalyst for more resistance spurring
Yeah.
it's a very almost Thrawn like
Mhm.
way to approach things, because he would be the one to realize like, oh snap, they care about this monument, it's really deep to their culture, and if we like start building something that'll start infringing on that, then that's how we can incite a rebellious
Mhm.
activity and get them to play their hand, and then we'll just take them out
Yeah.
because of that.
Yeah.
Like we'll
Calculating
get we'll
already.
we'll get
Mhm.
we'll get the answer from them that we
Mhm.
needed all this time without forcing the situation. Like
Yeah.
they're gonna walk right into the trap here that's already been set for them. um it's brilliant. It's brilliant.
Love it. Love
Like
it. Yeah.
fascist governments do
Yeah,
this kind of thing.
exactly. Yeah.
I don't want to tell people this, but like the
Yeah,
empire's
we're
not
saying
good.
this yeah, this is yeah, this is real stuff happening.
Like we shouldn't idolize the empire, because
Yeah.
I don't know what that says about other people.
Yeah.
If you're like, I'm a big empire fan, they got
Yeah.
like, oh, I don't explain further, please.
Yeah, yeah, right?
Yeah, Gorman. Yeah, I mean, sadly, we're gonna see more of it. I didn't know if this was gonna be the 3 episodes that we were gonna see
Mhm.
some of the more, but they did a good job, I think, of laying the groundwork in this one, so that ostensibly next week will hit even harder,
Yeah, that's where I
uh,
feel like we're going next week.
which is gonna be tough, tough
Yeah.
to see. I like the
Mhm.
spiders. I thought that was a cute little cultural thing that they had.
Love the spiders.
Is that gonna be
Yeah.
the next like Celebration 27 like funky thing at the store? Just
Yeah.
come get a
Come
Gorman spider.
come get a Gorman spider with a cool little message in the middle.
Yeah. Join the resistance. Come see our secret base in the basement here. Fun
Yeah.
stuff. So also about fun stuff. This this episode we kind of see the cost of romantic relationships on both sides.
Mhm.
So although they represent different sides of the conflict, you know, they're hiding in the shadows is oddly similar between all the relationships that we are
Yeah.
seeing in this. So, did you like getting to spend more time, quote unquote, romantically with like Deidre and Cyril, Cassian and Bix, who were confirmed to be an item in this set of episodes here, and Vel and Cinta?
I did, because I love romantic relationships in Star Wars, and we need more of it.
We do, we
Yeah,
do.
no, no, I loved it. I will say that Deidre and Cyril are probably the most like for me. That's probably like my number one. I'm more intrigued
Oh,
with.
oh, oh! I was like, I need more screen time.
Sign me up for
This is
whatever is
great.
going on here.
Between that and his like weekly Zoom calls with his mom, like
Yeah,
oh man, sign me up for
yeah.
all this. She's like,
Yeah,
turn the
no.
lights off. Like,
Oh,
oh
yeah,
God,
that
oh.
was and he loved being followed for some reason. I was like, "Okay."
Yeah,
Yeah, that was
those
the
two are interesting.
those 2 are interesting. It's kinda, like, hard not to, hard to look away. Yeah, no, I'm really glad I'm really glad we saw, the because that's just yeah, it's, like, just in the middle of war, like, how can you even it's just like it's just relationships. This is what the story
Hmm.
is. It's about, the people and like, and how how can they navigate this? It's really heartbreaking to see everything that's going on with I mean, Bix has been through so much and
Yeah,
just even like just her just grappling with a lot and and yeah, it's really sad, and, even, like, Cassian, like, he can't even I from what it was established, right, there was there a mission maybe that they had shot somebody because they saw them or something like that?
yeah.
And,
It
like,
seemed.
she's struggling with that because, she's probably questioning of, like, "Are we any different than what these people
Mm,
did to me?"
exactly.
So she's kind of going through, obviously, her trauma, but also, like, the trauma of like what they're doing to people and it's really tough but you know I think when there's when there's so much heaviness going on in a story
Hmm.
like this you kind of need to like ground yourself with okay which is like little relationship stories as sweet as I think Cassian and Bix's storyline is
Yeah.
um so but on the Deidre and Cyril of it all, that's
Wow.
like a little toxic relationship because she's clearly using him. He has severe mommy issues that at this point he's just like wanting to please, I guess, not even his mom anymore, just his girlfriend. And I think it's so fascinating for me to watch. And just the yeah, and then just, like, the Val and Cinta of it all, like, that's just, like, tragic. That's just,
Yeah.
um, S Star Wars is tragedy as always, so that's kind of what that's sort of kinda, you know, ended off with their story is, um, was really sad.
Yeah, I mean, for like Cyril says, is this the best? This is the best day of my life. I'm like, oh my gosh, dude, you just
He's
got praised by an ISB guy.
yeah, he's like, "Will I spoil it if I said this is the best day ever?" I was like, "Oh my
Like,
goodness." Yeah.
oh man, this this
Yeah.
guy's he's something. These two are
Yeah.
something. These two are like I think he said funky,
Yeah,
putting them together.
I mean, I think she does somewhat and love like, like him, right? I don't think she's completely using him.
I mean, I
I don't
guess
know.
like I don't know to be honest.
I don't know, to
Um,
be honest, either,
there must be
but
at least some base level
there's
of interest, but there's seems to be also a lot of I can use this guy because he's really into me,
yeah, he's really into me. He
and boy,
clearly,
is he a a
yeah, he's a
loyal
loyal,
follower.
yeah, loyal follower for sure.
Which,
Yeah,
has definitely been playing in her favor for the last
yeah,
couple of episodes here. I
yeah,
mean, man,
yeah,
he's off on his own in this apartment on Gorman. He's playing he's playing them like a fiddle here. Like he's got him wrapped around his
yeah.
finger.
Like he knows he's going in,
Like he knows
because he
he's
wants to
winning, and that's
gain,
the worst.
yeah, yeah, he wants to gain the trust. However, I feel like, I don't know, he might be disillusioned. He might get, I feel like maybe this can probably be like a turnaround for Cyril.
Hmm.
He might be,
Interesting.
he might
Thesis,
get
please.
disillusioned. I don't know, he just might get disillusioned with the Empire. Maybe he'll
Hmm.
see like what they eventually do really want to do to Gorman, and
Mm-hmm.
maybe he's gonna be like, hey, I'm not really into this. This is not what I thought this empire was, you know. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. I kind of feel like, I don't know. I got hints of I don't know, maybe they'll get a turnaround from him. I don't know. We'll see.
If also, yes, ending that, like if, like Deidre's, like we kind of surmised there, it's like you're not useful to
You're
me anymore, and
Yeah,
cast him
exactly.
aside, like that could
That can really,
break
yeah.
him.
Mhm.
Like when the Empire broke up with him technically,
Mhm.
and then he had to go back home. Like it feels like if anything is better than going back home to his mom,
Mhm. Yeah. His mom.
even if it's joining the rebellion,
Yeah.
which I'm not sure if that's super high on my bingo list right now of things that he could
Yeah.
do right now. Uh, but maybe,
Yeah.
it's a possibility.
Yeah.
There's a chance for it. But I guess I was, he's having the best day of his life. Meanwhile, Vel and Cinta are having the worst day of their
Yeah.
their lives. With, as I've said, spoiler alert, folks, but Cinta does die at the end of this episode, or at least seems like it, um, by a stray shot from one of the resistance fighters.
Who
Um,
was not listening,
was not
and
listening to the directive. Yep.
not, yeah, who just was not listening. Just goes to show that they're just so unprepared and just eager just to, yeah.
I mean, casting was 100% right, and I
Mhm.
don't know if it's just. I mean, Luthen, I think, is willing to do whatever it takes at the cost. Right? He was
Mhm.
very clear about that. In these set of episodes where he's like, we're not. Oh, sorry, Saul is also saying that now. But in the season one, where he's like, I'm not going to see the sunrise for this. I know I'm a dead person already. So when you've accepted
Heartbreaking.
that, you're able to
Mhm.
play with people's lives in a different way, and
Yeah.
you're not
Agreed.
as tied down to the logistics of humanity that others might be.
Yeah.
So he's willing to do the things that like take out Tay Coleman and other folks that are potential hazards to the rebellion or could spoil secrets, etc.
Mhm.
um so it's interesting that when Cassian is like, yeah, that's not great, and then he's having that whole conversation with him like, oh, you've disappointed me today, and all that. I'm like, Cassian's right here. There's something off about this conversation, and especially with Luthen and how Cassian and him interact here. How'd you feel about that kind of whole thing as you watched through it this time?
Just kind of like how they were interacting, and just kind of how it more of like the conversation with about Bix, where he's
Yeah, and
kind of
that he
like,
brought that in there
yeah.
too.
Well, clearly, when Val and Cinta were even talking, they said they're just better. They're all better when they're all separated, when they're alone, when they're
Yeah,
isolated.
yeah, they're not tied down to something.
We're not tied down to something, because I think in Luthen's mind, he's just kind of just like and everyone just needs to not have anything.
Hmm.
Um, just so you guys, so if you guys really want to be in this, you can't even have like, I want to say the word attachment, but I don't think that's what it is. But I think so. Yeah,
Well,
you can't have any
I mean, it
attachments for
is.
this life.
Yeah,
Yeah, because you almost see people who are so radical, like you have nothing left to lose. Like you needed like just ready to risk your life and not worry about it.
yeah.
Um, and even says that to Cassian. He says, you're going soft for Gorman, but you're willing to like you know, lose
Be
everything and
yeah.
yeah,
Be strong
for
for Bix.
Bix. But
Yeah.
yeah, be strong for Bix, right? And it's true. And this is like I think this is kind of like what yeah, and we see that with Val and Cinta, even though they realize a little bit too late, unfortunately for them. But
Yeah.
yeah, I think Luthen is just I mean, Cassian the thing is about Cassian is so still very compassionate. You even see, like, how he interacts with the
Mhm.
people and how he even left thinking like, "Hey, like, we can't do this to them because they're just not ready." And even, like, in the first episode, when he has that moment of connecting with I'm forgetting her name, in the first episode, he clearly is very
Mhm.
compassionate and connects with people where Luthen
Yeah.
just really doesn't, which is so insanely ironic for Luthen because he's clearly attached to his assistant. I'm forgetting her
Clea.
name. Clea, like he's like it's like I feel like he would do anything for Clea, and it's
Yeah.
so yeah. But yeah, I think he just really I think Luthen. I don't know. It seems like Luthen's really just trying to break up Bix and Cassian. Um,
Break
just
up?
so I mean, I think
Quote unquote?
so.
Question mark?
Yeah.
I mean,
Break
I
up or like, kind of like
I
I don't
asked this
know.
question. I mean, I was well, since it's relevant, I'll ask this question now, more diabolically in a way. Do you suspect that kind of the seeds are being planted in Luthen's head to maybe remove Bix from the
I think
equation?
so. I wouldn't put it past him.
Not even break them up. I'm thinking
No, no, no.
Luthen
Oh
might
yeah,
be.
yeah. Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, not break yeah, like completely like yeah. I think so. I mean, I think he sees Cassian as someone who's like instrumental
Yeah.
and I think Bix is what's really kind of the last I mean the last thing tied to his past,
It's his last anchor. Yeah.
That is so I think yeah, I mean, I can see that happening,
I mean, we just saw
but
Revenge of the Sith in the theaters this past week, and there was no way that Palpatine was letting Padme live.
no.
Even like she needed to be taken off the board so that Anakin and Vader at that point would be unhinged as and
Mhm.
truly loyal to the Empire and to the
Mhm.
Emperor. And
Mhm.
that's in a way where I'm seeing this potentially going here because Cassian is thinking about Bix. He's like, how do I get back home to her? I can't be away for too long.
Mhm.
She's having these
Yeah.
episodes. She's starting to take
Yeah.
seemingly drugs.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Because when he
and
asked him to go
it's
to
not great.
Gorman, when he asked him to go to Gorman initially, he's just like, "Well, she needs to go with." Like, yeah, he was so.
Yeah, how long do I
um
need to be there? Is it quick? Like, what's the
Mhm. Yeah.
deal?
Mhm. Can she
And
go? And he says no, she can't go. And yeah, it's a
yeah, when you're trying to
yeah,
run these extensive missions, right?
yeah.
He's like, I'm not going to do that. I can't be away. Like, there's strings attached
Mhm.
to the ask, and when you need warriors at this time,
Yeah.
you can't have people with strings attached.
Yeah.
Also, the other thing to that too is if you have not necessarily attachments, but if you have people that are close to you that are known to be close to you, they can be used as leverage against you, right?
Yeah.
Luthen's already doing it with Lonnie. He's like, "Oh, you got a kid, huh?"
Mhm. Yeah, I know.
And it's like if someone finds out that Cassian is a part of the rebellion, and they
Mhm.
know that Bix is his lover, um, if she's taken, that could be used against him, and she could be a means to find access at this point. Like they don't know who access is, and that's still a big plot line in this.
Mhm.
Um, it it's sad because I like Bix as a character a lot. She's a very very strong willed person. Um, and frankly, a really big inspiration in terms of like overcoming severe mental abuse,
Mhm. Mhm.
both physical and mental. I would say. Um, and trying your best to overcome and make light of those horrific situations. But I also see a dark future potentially for her as
Yeah.
as we're getting close to the end here. We've got 6 more episodes left, and there are characters I don't see in Rogue One, a Star Wars story.
Mhm. Yeah.
So you're starting to be like, all right, the math is
Mhm.
slowly change. The math is math in here. We lost Brasso last week. We're losing Cinta this week.
Yeah.
who's dropping like flies in the next
I
couple of
feel
weeks here.
yeah, that's what I feel. I feel like we're just yeah, at the third episode of every arc, we're losing somebody.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's so tragic that Vel and like they had that moment where they locked eyes last week, and then it literally led Vel to just be like, "Oh, she was sitting on that porch not the porch, but like on that staircase and just like crying. Basically, she was
Mhm.
like, "This is the cost of this. Like, I can't be with the people I love. I can't be
Yeah.
with them because I'm putting the cause first and foremost." And
Mhm.
now they had this moment where they could be together. They shared that a really nice kiss,
Mhm.
um, and all that, and that's taken away from them.
Yeah.
Right? They operate out in the open, and then
Mhm.
a freak accident happens, and that's it.
Yeah.
Just
Tragic. Yeah.
these are the wars in our stars, as some might say.
Yeah. Yeah.
um, all right, let's move on to the other storyline here, which is of character Wilmon, who was a part of the group last week, and now he's seemingly with Saw Gerrera, at least trying to get this Rhydonium, at least steal some,
Yeah, steal the fuel.
steal
Mhm.
the fuel. What did you make of this whole storyline, and especially the end bit there? I mean, that was something that I'm like, wow, this is pretty powerful.
Powerful and hinged. Forrest Whitaker as Saul was probably just, I mean, still stellar, amazing. I actually really do like this storyline because, we're just mentioning right now, like, I think this kid has really lost it all already. Ever since, they killed his dad last year or
Yeah.
I'm sorry, not last year, last season.
last
Sorry, timelines and all that stuff. Yeah. With you can just tell, like, and then, him having that relationship
Yeah, he
with
lost the
this
girl.
girl. Yeah, lost a girl, had to leave. And I think
Lost
he's
Brasso.
really just coming to terms with, I just really not going to have anything anymore. And I think that is what I think the rebellion is really trying to, well, especially like if you're hanging out with Saul's crew, they're a
Yeah.
little unhinged
Oh
and
man.
definitely aren't afraid. And I think he obviously, I mean, he sees this kid, he's young, he's probably lost. Um, but I mean, he's telling him, hey, like, you have something to fight for. You can fight now. We're never gonna see the victory at the end of this, but you're here now.
Yeah, breathing the freedom.
Yes, yes. Yeah, that ending scene was powerful.
I
I didn't
mean,
realize I was gonna get a little emotional, but I was like, wow, this is a little insane. When he when he asked him, you
yeah.
think I'm crazy? And I am
He's like,
crazy. And
I
I'm
am
like,
crazy. Like,
yeah,
yeah, you
you
are.
can't be sane to being in a resistance rebellion like this. You have to not, so yeah, I think this is where this kid's already at this point.
Absolutely. And this showcases like the unhinged nature of Saw
Yeah.
Gerrera, something
Mhm.
that has been talked about since he really appeared in Rogue One
Rogue One,
as this
yeah.
kind of radical
Radical,
member
mhm.
of the rebellion.
Yeah.
Um, and in the subsequent media we've gotten there, we've kind of gotten like some little tidbits of how he is a radical character, and I think often of the sequence between him and on Mothma in Rebel season 4, where he's like, "Hey, at least the Empire treats us both as criminals. At least I act like one."
Yeah,
Like there
yeah.
are no rules to war here. I'm living
Mhm.
off my like I'm taking out the empire. I'm doing what I need to do, and you do what you're doing. Have fun with it. But at the end of the day, if either of us are captured, they're still going to hang us both. Like it doesn't matter. So
Yeah,
I might as well take out as many of them as I can before I
yeah,
have this already death sentence
yeah,
set out for me here. And this speech showcases, I think, how people are in these situations, right? A person, this Wilmon is definitely the case example of I have nothing to lose here.
yeah. Mhm.
This is how I can get my quote unquote revenge, feel radicalized, join this group,
Yeah,
feel a community here among these people, among the two tubes twins and Saw Gerrera and Moroff and
yeah,
all
yeah.
the fun Rogue One characters in the background.
Yeah, tubes. Yeah, and I feel like, especially with a group, a radical group like this, I feel like that's kind of who they prey on.
Yes,
Is like a
exactly.
younger, and that's what they take advantage of, like a younger, someone who's younger. Um, vulnerable and
Yeah.
really has nothing. And
Who
it's more
feels like
like,
there's
oh,
nothing left for them to do but fight.
yeah, yeah, you can fight with us. You can be in our crew.
Yeah, and we'll
Um,
make devastating results.
yeah, I mean, we see him in the first season of the finale of season 1. Like he's ready to throw a bomb in this
Mhm.
crowd. Like he's out
Mhm.
for blood.
Yeah, the through line
And
is there.
maybe when he was with Brasso and Bix and Cassian, maybe they kind of he kind of had probably like somewhat of like let me just kind of we're gonna think this just following their lead, because their characters are seemingly like more of like a moral compass, where I
Mhm.
think he's kind of like he's probably gonna get to a point where no, I'm ready to destroy everything now.
He's there. He's
Yeah.
there.
So
And it's
I found this storyline actually to be really impactful.
me too.
When I watched it, I said, "Wow, this is actually really good stuff."
Yeah, Saul Gererra
Mhm.
finally got the Luthen speech of this season so far. The monologue, as some might call it.
Yeah. And then he mentions his sister, like he says, like
He
this, like
did.
he's, and I thought, man, because he obviously lost his sister who was a leader, back in like in the Clone Wars, but like saying as he's breathing this fuel to his sister, and it's just like, oh my gosh, like that is like insane, insane stuff. I mean, I was just, I yeah, I was in shock, like just watching the whole thing. Um, I have a question for you.
Okay.
Do you think the guy that he outed as a spy, do you think
Mm.
he really was a spy? And like, or was he just like,
Well,
this guy is weak. I want to take him out because I want this kid.
it's a good question.
Because I'm like,
There
I
is the chance that
almost,
they planted that
yeah, I feel like,
device.
do you think he got, because,
Hmm.
yeah, do you think it's like, it was like he probably felt like you're just not cut out for this. I kind of
Yeah.
want this kid,
I think he was stressed out. Like that
Yeah.
guy was like,
Yeah,
there's
he's
so many
stressed out.
combinations in my
Yeah.
head.
I bet I would be stressed out too. That sounds insane.
I'm like,
Really
also, I
insane.
don't think Saul Guerrero is a very forgiving man.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
you fail him once, there's not many opportunities to regain the graces. Um, so I can see it being both ways.
Yeah, same here.
There's without further context, if maybe a novelization comes out of this,
Mhm.
or Tony Gilroy goes off on an interview and says confirms one way or the other, I think your headcanon could work either way.
Yeah,
Um, did they plant it? Perhaps. Saul
yeah,
Guerrero doesn't like having weak people in his cadre. I can tell you
yeah.
that. And it aligns itself with Saul Guerrero's radical ideology of we only keep a strong fit group with us, and if someone can replace you, you're dead weight. We're not just
Mhm.
keeping people around. Go join the other rebellion.
Yeah.
They're screwing around over there. We actually get results over here. We take things
Mhm.
out. We destroy faculties. We destroy facilities. We get a lot of work done here.
Mhm.
And the dead weight is something that could. Yeah, I like that. I like that idea. That's a good question. That's a very good question.
Mhm.
And was it also a driving force of like I recognize Wilmund's value,
Mhm.
seeing and like choosing him?
Mhm.
Would that help to then radicalize him even further to be like
Mhm.
this guy that seems like he's lost everything now is embraced even further by this community?
Yeah.
Like that could be also be enough fuel
Mhm.
so to speak,
Yeah.
to drive one further into this radicalized nature. Interesting.
Mhm.
That's a really good rabbit hole we went down here.
I just
um
wouldn't pass. I just wouldn't put it past Saul to do something like that.
I
So,
mean, everything is on the table.
yeah,
We should have all. Frankly, I feel like since I believe this is the first time we've seen him in something since this happened, we all should have taken a moment of silence to pause our screens and then boo Saw Gerrera because he's responsible for Tech's death and Bad Batch. Ugh,
yes, I know. Oh,
still not over it.
forget.
It's
Still
it's
not
you
over
know,
it. Oh
it,
man, I'm still not over it.
his radicalization led to the death of Tech.
Yes.
So folks, never forget, never forget, never
Never
forgive.
forget. Yeah, never forgive. Still mad.
uh, what's the Arrested Development thing? For forgive but never forget, or
Forgive but
something.
never forget.
Um, uh, and Yeah, I also the other thing that I wanted to I'll pose this question to you. Is Saw Gerrera high all the time? We see him, I'm thinking about this now, right? We see him in Rogue One with that breathing thing. Is he actually breathing in oxygen, or is he
Bringing
taking
in the
in,
fuel?
some fuel, puffing some fuel fumes?
That's insane. I kind of like that idea.
Like,
I'm gonna say fuel. I'm gonna say he's puffing on that fuel.
I mean, it's right. It makes sense.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Especially in Rogue One, he takes one last hit before he's like, "All right,
That's
this is the good stuff right here."
one last ride,
One
guys.
last,
Take
yeah,
me away.
yeah,
Oh man, I'm like,
yeah.
this is like toxic fumes they're letting. Just he didn't even
Or maybe
question it.
that's why he eventually needs that breathing. You
Yeah, he's
know,
just so addicted.
so
He's like, I gotta breathe every 2 seconds out of this thing. I can't, I can't not have this.
yeah.
Oh man, the Saw Gerrera, more Saw Gerrera now.
Insane fuel whippets. That's wild.
Give me some more. Give me some more Saw Gerrera on
Yeah.
Dakar, where I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, the Falcon's back there in the Force Awakens. Oh, this is so. Of all the storylines, at least this might be my conjecture here. So this is a question I
Mhm.
ask you, perhaps, and we're happy to debate this one if you thought differently here. But perhaps, are you at all disappointed with how seemingly little there was of Mon Mothma showcased in part two here?
Always, because I love Genevieve O'Reilly and I want Mon Mothma in every
Yeah,
scene that I can get. So of course
yeah.
I was disappointed. Um, but I get it that we were focusing more on, the Gorman stuff. But I will say the little time that she was on was electric, because when she's going one on toe to toe with Krennic
Oh, so
and they're
good.
like, I just felt it. I was like, oh, this is good. So maybe this is why, okay, we're gonna keep her. This is when we're gonna, this is when we're gonna find her to be more, this is the time we're gonna get with her. But yeah, of course, I want more Mon Mothma. But if I can get her in every scene, I would love to. I love Genevieve O'Reilly. Um, but I mean, I get it. I think we were just kind of focusing more on the introduction of Gorman
Hmm.
and, checking in with all these other characters, because
Right.
I have a feeling next, we'll probably talk about later our predictions, but she'll be back
I
full
think so.
force next
I think so.
next week. But the little time we got with her was good, especially with her and Krennic. That was
Yeah, yeah. Especially how it juxtaposed with Clea trying to like get the listening device
honestly,
out
her not even realizing that she was like stalling and helping
was
Clea at the
brilliant.
same time was good, just because she cannot stand the guy and said, you know what? Like, yeah, I thought it was good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I thought that
We
was
need
really
we
well
need
done.
yeah, we need more Mon Mothmas in our world.
I agree. I agree. I really liked too the little sequence that we got where she was like, I can't say this Pledge of Allegiance thing here.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
not doing this. This is
Yeah.
ridiculous. And this guy,
Yeah.
whatever creature he is really going all
Yeah.
overboard with this.
And they're just swearing in senators. Is that kind of like what I got from, like,
I
right?
guess
They're
so, yeah.
just kind of like, hey, like, everyone just come join the party, not really. It's just becoming one big party, I feel like, not really.
Because
They're
they
not
really
getting
don't
really
have
any, yeah, they're not really
any
getting any work
power.
done. Yeah, they're just kind of just, I think that, yeah, the empire is kind of just like distracting, like.
This is really bringing it all together for me here, talking through
Mhm.
this, processing it verbally here, because when we see her in the episodes, at least to start here, she's like trying her best to do something,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
every senator that seemingly she goes to, they're like, I don't want to.
Yeah.
Even they've given up, right? So then when we
Mhm.
see the the Senate, well, we don't see it, but we hear about it in A New Hope, where they're like, the Senate's been liquidated. We're done.
Mhm.
It's
Yeah.
gone. The regional
It's
governors now have control over the territories.
Mhm.
I'm like, they were gone. I mean, not that they really had any power from the start of the empire, but they've been, for at least 3 years before, are useless. And they're just
Yeah.
partying and they're bloated and living it up on the high life of the empire just to not cause a problem, right? I
I
think
think that's
that's the
what it
bit that
is.
they're just
Yeah.
letting him do.
Yeah. Like, here, yeah, they're living their lavish lifestyles,
Like, they're just having
really
so
getting
many
distracted
parties.
distracted from the real work that should be done, but they're not.
Exactly.
Yeah, they're too distracted. And I think because they mentioned like the swearing in of all these other so many other senators getting sworn in, it's kind
Mhm.
of like, yeah, let's just keep swearing in all these people just to, keep the party going and, distract from, what really needs to be done.
Yeah, 100%
And
agree.
she's zeroing in on that. She notices it already. So, and she's ready kind of on her last. She's losing her patience.
I mean, she's a woman of action,
Yeah.
and there's no action to be done here. It's
Mhm.
literally nothing. She just goes to a
Yeah.
party and she's like, "This is Perrin's lifestyle. This ain't mine."
Yeah, for sure.
uh,
But she looks so
so,
amazing in her gowns. My
oh my
gosh.
gosh,
The
Mike.
flowy gowns. I was just losing my
All the
mind.
costume design in this,
So good.
especially some
Yeah.
of her jewelry in this episode, I
Amazing.
thought was
Mhm.
really a standout for me
Yeah.
in watching this. I'm like, oh wow, they really took their time with some of these here.
Yeah.
Um, so I also wanted to note before we kind of start predicting about next week, the end sequence here where it shows Bix taking revenge on her abuser, Dr. Gorst. What did you think of this scene? And in the long run, will this action quote unquote heal her? They were kind of talking about healing Bix and getting her better throughout the course of these 3 episodes here. Do you think this is a way for her to overcome some of that trauma and move on from it?
I hope so. I mean, this is a terrible human being.
Mm-hmm.
So I
Yes,
don't know if
yes.
this is probably her way of like moving on and also her way of like getting to sleep at night, but also like knowing that he won't be able to do this again to somebody.
Yeah, they were setting up a
Maybe
whole institute with him, basically.
exactly. So maybe it's just like I can sleep better at night knowing I did something to stop this monster so he doesn't do this to anyone else again.
Yeah. Seeing
Um
is believing.
I
Like
mean,
I've
I don't
seen
know
him.
if she is satisfied. I was satisfied as a viewer.
I agree.
I feel like I'm healing as a viewer. So I hope she does. And again, I don't really like, not really like I don't really cheer for things like this, but I'm just
Mm-hmm.
like good. I felt yeah, I'm glad. And they just looked so cool when they walked out at the end. I was like, wow, look at
Yeah.
this.
And with Cassie in there
Um
too, it's like he sanctioned it too. Because he was
yeah,
kind of
I
like, "You gotta stay
yeah.
here. You gotta be safe. We can't go to the bodega. We can't.
Mhm.
We can't
Yeah.
do these things. We can't be in the park. There's too many people
We
around
can't go to the
here."
park, but we can go ahead and blow this part of the building up.
Yeah, yeah. We'll take out this guy. We'll give him
Yeah,
the
yeah,
worst last couple of minutes of
yeah,
his life.
for sure. No, but I don't know. I hope so. I hope it does. I'm more concerned of her drug problem more than anything.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, but I mean, hopefully this is kind of something that she really needed to, you know, get taken care of in order for her to kind
Hmm.
of move on. Um, cause yeah, my girl can't sleep at night because she thinks he's in the next room, and that's terrifying.
She hasn't slept for like
So
2 years.
yeah, so I'm hoping it is. And maybe she just can go, just knowing that again, like she took a monster off the street, and that was kind of like her
Yeah.
part. So
You know,
I'm hoping.
I'm of the same hope too. My only trepidation and or concern for her
Hmm.
is this a short term fix?
Got
You
you.
know,
Yeah.
will she sleep for a few nights
Hmm.
and then the addiction of that
Yeah.
drug that Luthen was like, hey, it can be pretty addictive, and it comes back even worse. Uh,
Hmm.
so your dependency on it seemingly needs and grows with each passing dose that you
Hmm.
take. And I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, how long she been doing this? It's just down a path she can no longer take. Will Luthen then exploit that and that, make it seem like an accident or something like
Yeah.
that, the way he's done before? Uh,
Yeah.
maybe, and
Yeah.
that's just the sad part. There is like, is are they going to utilize the a quote unquote vice that was done out of a traumatic situation to then take her off the board?
Hmm.
Is really really dark.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And it wasn't like she just wasn't using it to sleep. Homegirl was using it like during the day.
She was ready to. She was ready
There there
to.
she
Any
was
time
looks
of
like
day, I was down.
she looked like she was popping those whatever that was, even like when she was
Get some
watching like
drops in here.
that
Get the whole
morning
veil.
the morning TV Coruscant show.
Good morning,
It's like,
Coruscant.
oh
Yes.
man.
I was like, oh
She
man, they got GMC. They're ready to go.
yeah, yeah, right.
She was down bad. And then she's
Yeah.
like, I gotta clean the house. She
Yeah, I
had a
know. I got it.
spurt of energy.
My boyfriend's coming. I know, right? Maybe she inhaled some of that fuel that Saul had.
Yeah, the Rhydonium's just
Yeah.
everywhere. It turns people into
Yeah.
doers.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh
I don't
yeah,
know. I don't know. I really like Bix as a character. I just really feel for her, everything that she's been through. And, I mean, we'll see. I just don't see it. I just don't see a happy ending, obviously.
there's no happy
But
ending for any of these guys.
there's no happy there's no
Ugh.
happy ending for anyone. So, I don't know. I hope for the best. But I mean, again, with this guy, I'm glad she took him out.
Yeah, me too. Me
Hmm.
too. If anything, right, the best thing is that no other people will have to theoretically, unless they
Hmm.
just, have it stored somewhere else. A second person is available to do this. He won't be the
Yeah.
one
He
administrating
won't.
this
Yeah.
horrible
Hmm.
technology.
Yeah.
Um, so hopefully, at least from what's presented here, a lot of people will be saved because this was their answer to we have so many people in custody that we can't process
Hmm.
them all, and this was literally their answer to it was
Oh
we'll
my
just
goodness.
throw this on everybody and screw them over.
Yeah. Yeah. That is so nuts. That's another crazy thing that was happening. Like they're getting too overwhelmed because it's like, what do they say? I think you're inventing criminals. You're not actually catching them. You're
Yeah,
just or creating criminal. I don't know. Like it was this
all the
how
above.
they said. Yeah, yeah. You're just not. Yeah, they don't even know what to do, and that's when like even like what Luthen and Clea were talking about too. Like they were just you're getting too overwhelmed at this point.
Yeah.
So both sides are getting a little in over at their heads at this point.
Oh, and
Yeah.
we've only got 6 more episodes to go, so we'll see how it all comes to a head here.
Mhm.
So final question here. Next week is BBY 2, 2 years before the Battle of Yavin.
Mhm.
Yeah, any idea or speculation as to where the story will go? And be sure to calibrate your enthusiasm with this one.
Yeah, I definitely see that we're gonna I mean, unfortunately, we're probably gonna get the Gorman Massacre 2.0.
Yeah, yeah.
I kinda see that's where they're going. Um, It'll be kinda interesting to see, like, where the Gorman front and everything is a year later.
Mm-hmm.
So to kinda check in to see where, everyone's at again. But yeah, I think that's kind of where we're leading to next.
I think we're gonna
Gonna
see
be
a
a
genocide next week.
it is. It's a big event. It's a big event, and I think that's gonna really just really kickstart this rebellion.
Yeah,
And Mon Mothma is gonna she's out.
she's gonna be out. Yeah, because
She's gonna be out. That's it.
she has that wonderful speech in Star Wars Rebels
And
season
Rebels,
3 and
yeah.
references
Hmm.
Gorman in
Yes,
that.
yeah.
So
So I think
cause
that's
and
kind of what.
effect.
Mhm. Yeah. It'll be interesting. Yeah. It's honestly like I thought it was gonna be kind of interesting how they were gonna do this year jump,
Hmm.
but it's been pretty fascinating.
I think so
Like,
too.
yeah. So it's gonna be really interesting to kind of like check in on to see what everyone's up to. But yeah, no, I think the massacre is definitely happening next week. That's kind of I think what it's really leading up to.
Yeah, I doubt they skip over it for another week.
No, no, no. I think it's yeah, because that would be 2 years before the Battle of Yavin,
Hmm.
right? Yeah.
Yep.
So that would kind of make sense. Yeah.
So you have a 50% chance at this answer here. Do you think K2 is next week?
I think maybe at the end
Mm-hmm. Do you think we get a
we'll probably
tease
get
there?
him at the end. I get a little teaser of him, and then he's like front and center. The last arc, the last 3 episodes, front and center.
Coming in hot.
Um, Coming in hot. He's
He'll
coming in
finally
hot.
figure out how to get rid of the monsters on Yavin 4. And
Yeah, he's coming in hot, I think for sure. Yeah, but I mean, could we also get a check on B2, please?
Please, could
Hello?
someone like go
Can
check
we
in on
check?
him? Yeah,
Yeah,
Cassian, go fly back and
hopefully they're reunited for him next week. That's really what I'm looking forward to, actually.
go take a vacation
Um,
and go check in on your boy.
yeah, no, for sure. I really hope we do need to check in. Um, yeah, so I think K2 is, if he's not, I think maybe just, I think they're saving him for the last 3.
Sure, sure.
I don't think we'll see him next. I mean, if we do, it's going to be right at the end. A little teaser of K2
Yeah, yeah.
last
You know,
episode.
just out of the hoping that there's a sliver of kindness from Tony
Mhm.
Gilroy and team
Yeah.
to be like, hey, you're gonna watch this genocide next week. How about how
Yeah.
about a little joy of seeing K2SO in these episodes
Yeah,
would
you're
be
right,
a
that
little
might be
nicety.
like, that'd be, yeah, you're right. That'd be kind of like the, what we need to sleep.
Yes, yes. For especially for us on the East Coast,
Yeah, for you East Coasters, maybe
give us
put
some
you
joy before bedtime and
the
a early rise
K2
wake up call.
K2SO lullaby,
Oh,
um,
sign me
for
up.
sure.
Sign me up. Alan Tudyk singing me to sleep.
Yeah.
I'm all for it.
Yep.
Well, all right, Silver. We have processed through part 2, BBY 3 of Andor season 2. Where can the folks
Process
find you?
processing is right.
Processing is definitely we've done some
Yeah.
we did some live processing throughout
Yeah.
this conversation here, which I think was awesome.
Mhm.
Where can the folks find you online if they want to continue the conversation and process even further?
Yeah, yeah, find me at Star Wars Thrifting, just all on the internet. That's where I'm at. Yeah, DMs are always open. I like, meeting new friends, talking about Star Wars. Yeah, come hang out.
And go check out all the cool Star Wars celebration coverage that Silver did over the past couple of weeks here. A lot of fun pictures from the show floor and all that, and cool stuff. So yeah, go give Silver a follow.
Check it out. Yeah, thank you so much. Thanks again for having me.
Oh, it's our pleasure, and you always have an open door to come back on the show anytime. So we'll be reaching out in the near future. So don't worry about that one, folks. And for you listening at home, guess what? We'll be back next week with part 3. We'll see what happens. Probably not great stuff, but we'll talk about it at great length and probably process it a bit more. So until then, may the force be with you. Take care.